There is a strange silence that hangs between people who have known each other for years. This silence is not born of comfort, but of something darker, unspoken resentment, hostility disguised as politeness, a quiet, unadmitted hatred. Carl Jung wrote that every soul carries a shadow, and the closer we draw to others, the more that shadow can reveal itself in subtle, corrosive ways. Hatred from a stranger wounds us, but it is clear, direct, and often passes quickly. Hatred from someone close, a friend, sibling, partner, or confidant, seeps in more slowly. It is poison disguised as wine. Recognizing this hidden truth helps us understand the complexity of human bonds. Jung believed that we rarely show our entire selves to the world. We construct a persona, a mask we wear to appear acceptable to society and even loved ones. But beneath the mask lies the shadow, our denied desires, envies, fears, and aggression. When suppressed, the shadow waits for cracks to emerge in our relationships, and there it reveals itself. When someone close secretly despises you, it is often not because of your actions, but because your existence has become a mirror they cannot face. Perhaps you represent a path not taken, your happiness reminds them of their loneliness, or your strength makes them feel weak. Their resentment is not about you, but about what you awaken in them. Yet, the hostility is directed toward you, hidden behind smiles and half-hearted gestures of care, revealed only when their mask slips. Jung saw this in how envy operates. Rarely confessed, envy hides because admitting it would expose vulnerability. Instead, it transforms into passive aggression, withdrawal, and subtle sabotage. A person who secretly hates you may not strike openly, but their energy shifts. They remind you of your flaws, diminish your triumphs, and make you doubt yourself. They whisper, they corrode. The danger lies not only in them, but in us. When someone close harbors hatred, our first instinct is denial. We cling to the idea of lingering affection, believing the bond cannot be so fragile. This denial is a refusal to look at the shadow. We prefer the comfort of illusion, even when the truth gnaws at us. We excuse coldness as tiredness, cruelty as humor, and indifference as distraction. Slowly, we allow ourselves to be diminished, because being hated by someone dear feels unbearable. Yet the shadow cannot be denied forever. Jung warned that what we refuse to see in others and ourselves eventually rises destructively. If we do not recognize hidden hatred, we internalize its effects. We start believing we are less worthy of love, respect, and security. Unacknowledged hatred becomes the soil for self-doubt. But here, philosophy meets compassion. Recognizing that someone close secretly despises us is not about condemnation or anger. Jung understood that hatred is tangled with fear, longing, inadequacy, and unmet needs. A person who secretly hates may be suffering greatly. Their hostility is not only a wound directed at us, but a reflection of their internal war. Seeing this does not mean we should ignore their actions. Jung's path was one of integration, bringing the hidden into the light, naming it, confronting it, and refusing illusion. If people secretly despise us, their shadows have crossed into our lives, and we must walk carefully, not with bitterness, but clarity, not with paranoia, but with the strength of truth. The first step is awareness, noticing the subtle gestures, the fractures in trust, the uneasy silence where warmth once existed. Buried hatred leaks through tone, body language, and the erosion of care. Noticing it is painful, but ignoring it is far worse. Jung offers a path not only to self-protection, but to a deeper understanding of the human soul. Even in hatred and betrayal, there is something to be learned about the fragility of love, the weight of envy, and the unspoken battles that shape those closest to us. When someone dear secretly despises us, the question is not only how to respond, but how to see, clearly, without illusion, bitterness, or self-deception. This is the beginning of wisdom in relationships, not fearing the shadow, but recognizing it, and in doing so, protecting our own spirit. If there is one place where hidden hatred takes root, it is within families. Jung observed that the family is where the unconscious first writes its scripts, shaping our desires, fears, and the masks we wear. It is also where love and resentment grow together, inseparable as vines entwined around a tree. A sibling may smile at your success yet secretly feel eclipsed by it. A parent may encourage you outwardly yet harbor bitterness that their own life never reached the same heights. An old friend may congratulate you, but their eyes reveal something else: envy, a tightening of the jaw, a lingering pause. These are the whispers of the shadow breaking through the mask. Jung would remind us that these shadows are not pure evil. They are the parts of ourselves exiled from consciousness. A brother who resents your freedom is wrestling with his own captivity. A friend who grows cold in the face of your joy is struggling with their own loneliness. Yet, when these shadows remain unacknowledged, they create hollow relationships. Affection is still performed, but the foundation is weakened, and cracks appear in moments of truth. The pain of such realization is profound because family and friendship are supposed to be sanctuaries. To discover hatred within them is to feel the world tremble. It is not only the hostility that wounds, but the betrayal of expectation, the collapse of the illusion that love is safe simply because it comes from loved ones. Jung would tell us this collapse is necessary. Only by seeing through illusion do we encounter people as they truly are, not as we wish them to be. There is a duality in hidden hatred. It can coexist with love. A sister may resent you deeply but still protect you fiercely. A friend may envy your life yet still miss you when you are gone. This duality confuses us because we believe emotions should be pure, consistent, and singular. But the psyche is a chorus of conflicting voices. Love and hate often dwell together, not as enemies, but as uneasy companions. To accept this is to see others through the lens of reality, not idealization. Those who secretly despise us are not monsters. They are human, fragmented, divided, and at war with themselves. Their resentment may wound us, but it is also a reminder of how fragile the bonds of affection are, how much effort it takes to hold love above envy, and how rare it is to find love without hidden hostility. This recognition does not mean we must cut ties. Jung's philosophy was about integration, acknowledging what is there without being consumed by it. If we can see resentment for what it is, if we can name the shadow, we are no longer helpless. We can choose how close to stand, how much of our soul to give, how much energy to protect. Awareness grants freedom, even when love carries its fractures. Yet, awareness also carries loneliness. To see clearly is to lose some innocence, the comfort of believing everyone dear to us wishes us well. But Jung would argue this loneliness is the price of maturity. To awaken is to stand in the truth, and the truth is that even the closest relationships can carry a quiet undercurrent of hatred. Still, within this truth lies liberation. Once you have faced the shadow in others, you are no longer bound by their hidden hostility. Their resentment no longer defines your worth, nor does their unspoken hatred infect your spirit. You learn to see it as theirs to carry. You learn that love is not guaranteed, that loyalty is not pure, but that your strength lies in discerning what is real and building your life around those rare bonds where love is not poisoned by envy. Thus, in the family that resents, in the friend who grows cold, we see not only the hidden hatred of others but also the deeper truth of the human heart. We are creatures of contradiction, carrying both devotion and hostility, and it is in navigating this tension that we find wisdom. This is why Jung insisted we confront the shadow, both in others and in ourselves. Until we recognize the possibility of hidden hatred in those closest to us, we remain children in the world of relationships, trusting blindly, hoping endlessly, and suffering quietly. To see the shadow is painful, but it is the first step toward authentic connection, toward bonds chosen with clarity rather than illusion. The recognition deepens. The people we love may also secretly despise us, and this does not make them demons, it makes them human. It is in how we face this truth that our own humanity is tested. If hidden hatred within family and friendships is painful, its presence in intimate love can be devastating. In romantic bonds, we offer not only companionship but also our most vulnerable selves. To sense that our closest companion might secretly despise us is to feel as though life's foundation has cracked. Jung frequently wrote about the dangers of projection in love. We rarely see our partners as they are. We project our longings onto them. A man might see his anima, his idealized inner feminine, in his beloved. A woman might see her animus, her inner masculine, embodying her desired strength and wisdom in her partner. Initially, this projection is intoxicating. Love burns brightly when the other seems to embody everything we lack. But no mask lasts forever. Gradually, the beloved's humanity, and with it, their shadow, emerges. Flaws, vulnerabilities, and insecurities, truths we never wanted to see, surface. If we cannot meet these truths with compassion, resentment takes root. The once perfect beloved becomes a mirror of our disappointments. We resent their weakness because it reflects our own. We hate their freedom because it highlights our dependence. We envy their achievements because they echo our unfulfilled potential. Hidden hatred in love begins as disillusionment, not cruelty. What was projected outward collapses inward, and the beloved, once carrying our dream, now carries our shadow, becoming the target of our internal battles. It manifests subtly, a withheld compliment, a tone laced with contempt, sudden impatience with once cherished gestures. The fracture isn't always signaled by an affair or a fight. Sometimes, it's the lingering silence, the rehearsed affection, the subtle absence of delight in your presence. Love poisoned by secret hatred often dies quietly, like a candle suffocated by its smoke. Jung believed intimacy forces the shadow into the open because love strips us of our defenses. With a partner, our masks are thinner, our personas more fragile. This closeness makes love beautiful, but also dangerous. We expose our vulnerabilities, hoping for care, but also our flaws, weaknesses, and inadequacies. If our partner cannot accept these parts of us, resentment grows. If we cannot face their shadow, we begin to hate what we once adored. Yet Jung didn't see this as hopeless. He believed love's true task was not maintaining the illusion of perfection, but enduring its collapse without fleeing. If partners recognize each other's shadow and remain, love deepens into something real, stronger than projection. If the shadow is denied, hidden, unspoken, it becomes the rot that consumes affection, leaving only bitterness. To suspect your partner secretly despises you is to confront a deep fear, that even in intimacy, we are not fully safe. Yet, this confrontation can be a doorway. In acknowledging human contradiction, authentic love can begin. Truly loving someone is not just adoring their light, but living alongside their shadow, enduring their envy, frustrations, and resentments without collapsing. It is remaining, not because the illusion holds, but because the truth is seen and embraced. Few achieve this. It requires immense courage. But when it happens, it creates a bond impervious to secret hatred because the shadow is acknowledged, not denied. Still, many cannot face this work. They remain in relationships where affection mingles with resentment, and intimacy is stained with unspoken hostility. Here, the suffering is greatest. Unlike a sibling or friend, an intimate partner shares our days, nights, home, and bed. To lie beside someone harboring hidden hatred is to feel it in the air you breathe. Jung would say the task is not to drown in despair, but to turn inward. The other's hatred reveals something within us, our acceptance of illusion, our fear of abandonment, our reluctance to confront our own shadow. The resentment is not only theirs, it is part of the human story, where love is never pure, and intimacy carries danger. Seeing this clearly is the first step toward freedom. Once the illusion breaks, you are no longer bound by unspoken hostility. You can choose to face it together with courage or protect yourself by leaving. Both paths are honest, both honor the truth. Hidden hatred in love, as devastating as it is, becomes a teacher. It strips away fantasy and forces us to encounter the complexity of human affection, how love and hate, tenderness and resentment, coexist within the same heart. Denying this is remaining a child in love. Accepting it is growing, seeing, and loving with eyes wide open. When someone close secretly despises us, the wound is not merely external. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, their hidden hostility seeps into our psyche. We begin to carry it as our own. This is one of the most dangerous effects of unacknowledged hatred. It poisons the bond and reshapes the soul that suffers it. Carl Jung wrote that one person's unconscious is never entirely separate from another's. When two lives are intertwined through family, friendship, or intimacy, their shadows touch. If we are not careful, the shadow of another can slip quietly into us, making us doubt what once felt certain. We absorb their coldness, contempt, and envy, and in time, may mistake it for the truth about ourselves. The signs are subtle. You may find yourself silencing your joy, shrinking your accomplishments, and muting your light because you sense it unsettles them. You may hesitate before speaking, rehearsing your thoughts in fear of dismissal or sarcasm. Over time, you no longer need their disapproval. It lives within you. Their hidden hatred has taken root, shaping a second voice that whispers against your worth. This is how unspoken resentment becomes internalized. It is as though a fragment of their shadow has crossed into you. Jung would say that what we fail to confront outwardly returns inwardly with doubled force. By refusing to see that someone close harbors hatred, we allow their shadow to live rent-free in our unconscious. We become the jailer of our own spirit, enforcing limits that were never ours. The danger deepens. Once their hostility is inside us, we echo it. We turn their contempt into self-contempt. We treat ourselves with the same indifference, cruelty, and erosion of dignity that we once felt from them. This is how the hidden hatred of another becomes our own shadow. Jung warned that to live without recognizing these dynamics is to live half asleep, mistaking the voice of another's resentment for fate. It is not fate, it is projection, absorption, the unguarded blending of souls. The task before us is to disentangle what is ours from what belongs to them. This is not easy. Bonds, especially close ones, are charged with loyalty and guilt. To admit that someone you love secretly despises you is to feel disloyal, as though betraying them by naming what you sense. So you remain silent, convincing yourself that you are imagining it, that you are too sensitive, that surely love must still be there. But silence deepens the invasion. The more you deny their shadow, the more it entwines with your own. Here, Jung's insistence on consciousness becomes essential. To become conscious is to draw a boundary, not of cruelty, but of clarity. To say, this contempt I feel is not mine, it is the reflection of another's shadow. I will not mistake it for my own truth. Such recognition is not abandonment, it is self-preservation. Without it, you risk living a life shaped by someone else's hatred, carrying wounds that were never yours. Yet, there is a paradox. Even as you disentangle yourself from their shadow, you cannot escape seeing that your own shadow is entangled with theirs. Jung insisted that we must never believe ourselves innocent of the forces we condemn in others. The hatred we sense may awaken anger, resentment, or even hatred within us. Their hostility may summon our own shadow, forcing us to confront the parts of ourselves we, too, have exiled. In this sense, hidden hatred becomes a mirror. Painful, but also revelatory. It shows us how we are vulnerable to absorption, how we betray ourselves for the comfort of closeness, how we refuse to name what is real out of fear of loneliness. To see this clearly is not to despair, it is to reclaim the authority of our soul. Because if their hatred has crossed into you, it can be released. If their shadow has infected your self-image, it can be recognized, named, and returned. The psyche, once aware, can separate what belongs to it from what does not. In this act, something vital happens, you reclaim yourself. This reclamation is not dramatic. It is slow, quiet, but profound. It begins with the smallest refusal, to apologize for your joy, to dim your achievements, to shrink your presence. It grows into the courage to face the truth without denial, to admit that love is not always pure, and that hatred can live even in those we hold dearest. It culminates in the strength to carry your own shadow, without allowing the shadows of others to devour you. Jung believed that no one escapes shadow work. Hidden hatred from those close to us is one way life forces us to confront it. It is painful, but also an invitation, to awaken, to separate illusion from reality, to claim the dignity of your being even when others cannot love it without envy. So, when their hatred becomes your shadow, you have a choice, to live under its weight, mistaking it for your own voice, or to rise in the clarity of consciousness, and say, this darkness is not mine. I will see it, I will understand it, but I will not carry it within me. In this choice lies freedom. Every encounter with hidden hatred, as devastating as it feels, carries within it the seed of transformation. For Jung, life was not about avoiding the shadow, but about facing it until its presence no longer controlled us. When someone close secretly despises you, it is a wound, but also a call to awaken and see clearly what love and human connection truly mean. The truth is that hatred, envy, and resentment will always exist in human bonds. They cannot be eradicated because they are part of the psyche's fabric. The person who secretly despises you is not simply an enemy wearing a mask. They are a soul struggling with their own fractures, caught in the same web of contradictions that binds us all. Recognizing this does not excuse their actions, but it helps us step away from bitterness. Jung often spoke of individuation, the process of becoming whole by integrating the hidden parts of ourselves. Facing hatred from those closest to us is part of this work because it forces us to confront both the shadows of others and the shadows within ourselves. Their envy may awaken our pride. Their contempt may summon our own anger. Their hostility may mirror our fear of rejection. To see these reactions clearly is to begin to understand the hidden depths of our own soul. But individuation is not only inner work, it is also the art of relationship. It teaches us that closeness must not come at the cost of clarity. To love someone truly does not mean denying the resentment that lies beneath the surface. It means seeing it, naming it, and choosing how much of your spirit you can entrust to them. Some bonds will survive this clarity, deepening into relationships where both light and shadow are acknowledged. Others will not, and in those cases, the wisdom is in letting go, not clinging to an illusion. There is freedom in this. Once you accept that even those who love you may sometimes despise you, you no longer live in the fragility of constant reassurance. You no longer demand purity from human hearts, nor do you hide from their contradictions. You begin to walk through relationships with open eyes, able to cherish affection when it is genuine and release it when it corrodes into something toxic. Perhaps most importantly, you learn not to fear the shadow itself. Hidden hatred is painful, but it is also a mirror, showing us where illusion still binds us, where we still confuse the mask for the truth, and where we still expect perfection from those who are as broken and divided as we are. To see this clearly is not cynicism, it is maturity. In the end, Jung would say that the goal is not to live a life free from hatred, but to live a life where hatred, once revealed, no longer imprisons you. You learn to carry your own worth so firmly that the shadows of others cannot rewrite it. You learn to look at those who secretly despise you not with naivety, but with clarity, and sometimes even with compassion, knowing that their hostility is often the face of their own suffering. This does not mean staying in harm's way. Compassion without boundaries is simply self-destruction. True wisdom is knowing when to remain and when to step away, when to offer patience and when to preserve your soul. For Jung, the task of consciousness was always to bring light where there was darkness, not to be consumed by it. The lesson is this: the people closest to you may carry shadows that turn against you. They may smile while resenting, embrace while envying, love while secretly hating. This is part of the human condition. But their shadows do not need to define you. Their hidden hatred does not need to become your prison. By seeing it clearly, by separating what belongs to them from what belongs to you, by refusing to carry what is not yours, you begin to live with a deeper kind of freedom. Hidden hatred becomes, then, not just a wound, but a teacher. It strips away illusions, hardens your clarity, and strengthens your spirit. It shows you the truth of human hearts, that love and hate, devotion and envy, tenderness and resentment all live side by side. To see this is to awaken, and to awaken is to live not in fear of shadows, but in the strength of knowing that even in their presence, your light endures. And in the quiet aftermath of such recognition, there is peace. Not the naive peace of believing everyone loves us without fracture, but the mature peace of knowing that even when hatred hides in familiar faces, we have the strength to face it, learn from it, and remain whole.